Go.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth Science Classroom. Welcome back to our next virtual tour. We are in northern New Jersey in Morris County, and we are here at Pyramid Mountain, and we're going to hike up to various rock formations. And this is a famous area for a rock formation called Tripod Rock and Bear Rock. They are glacial erratics. This whole area was under a massive glacier the last time we had the Wisconsin ice caps come over this part of New Jersey down from Canada and the Arctic about 20,000 years ago, and as the glaciers melted, it transported and deposited all these big rocks. So we're going to look at these today in this virtual field trip. So here's New Jersey, located on the east coast of the United States, and the northern part of the state, which is very more mountainous, more rocky than the southern part of the state towards the Jersey Shore and the Atlantic coast. And here, if you park off the Boonton Ave road near between Boonton and Kinnelon, you can take this blue trail that's shown here on the map. This map is shown at the start of the trail, and the glacial erratic Tripod Rock is at the top of this map, which is our destination. So starting out from the parking lot, you're on this intro trail which goes up through the woods and towards the bridge over a small river. And it's a nice intro, it's a nice relaxed, but you get this beautiful rock formations, you get these different sized pebbles and rocks, all of metamorphic origin and formation. The trail itself is well blazed with lots of easily seen signs and blue markings on the trees and the rocks and different formations. And even though it gets pretty steep towards the middle of the hike, towards Bear Rock and Tripod Rock, there is very well organized and signposted. And today was a beautiful blue sky day. It was a Friday in June, and just a great time to get out and hike and see these beautiful forest, beautiful formations and geology and rocks, and really see how the environment comes together in this amazing part of northern New Jersey. So we come to this nice wooden bridge over this brook and this creek, and it kind of brings you into the main part of the forest where the different trails kind of branch off, and you can take a different trail over the park, which is about 1,500 acres. Now we're taking the blue trail. The blue trail kind of is a big loop around the main part of the park, and it goes up and over the mountain one way and comes down the other way. Now we took the left-hand turn, which is right here, and it kind of like winds its way up through this big zigzag up to this high steep climb and very steep gradient, and you can see the exposed rocks at the back there. It's kind of a steep walk and hike for about a quarter of a mile and kind of strenuous, so be careful there. And then you get to the top of this climb and you see these beautiful examples of exfoliation and physical or mechanical weathering on these lovely rocks. They're mostly metamorphic, and they are nice. They're nice. They're from both igneous origin and sedimentary origin. So we continue up this steeper gradient on the blue trail on the left hand side after the bridge, and you see these massive boulders. These are all exposed outcroppings on the side of the hill going up to the mountain. Now the top elevation for this area is around 890 feet. Now it's not too high compared to other mountains in Pennsylvania or North Carolina, but for New Jersey it's kind of a steeper gradient, and New Jersey is not the tallest mountain state on the East Coast. But this trail is rugged, and it has these amazing different formations and exposed erratics and deposited rocks. Now you get to the top of this hill and you come to the first outlook or overlook. We can see out, this is towards the east. Now you can see over the beautiful forest areas and of course the power lines, but it's northern New Jersey, so it's still pretty built up, and you got this beautiful rock formation. You can see the striations from the movement of the ice. And in the background you see New York City. It's about 45 miles, 50 miles to the east from this location. You see the kind of the outline of Manhattan, both downtown and midtown right there. So after Lookout, we continue on the Blue Trail across, and now it's a chance to talk about a little bit of the history of New Jersey in terms of the geology and tectonics. So as we know from the tectonics, that New Jersey was not in its current position, its latitude and longitude. In the past, it was below the equator and very tropical, very warm, and it's been slowly moving north over the equator north for the past 2.5 billion years. So the area we're in is southeast of what's called the Grenville province, which is the part of the Canadian Craton, which is a very stable, very old formation of rock in the continent. And then you've got the Adirondack Mountains, which is another kind of subsection of this old Craton. And then we're in New Jersey, we have this thin line of Grenville rocks, which is about 2 billion years to 1.5 billion year old rocks. And then we have a various stage or sequence of orogenies and rifting. Now these rocks are mostly about 1.3 to 1.1 billion years old, these metamorphic rocks, these gneiss rocks. And they were formed through different orogenies and tectonic processes where continents were forced and squeezed together, and mountains were formed through either thrust or fold mountains. And these metamorphic rocks that were formed deep in the Earth's crust and the Earth's interior, in the upper mantle, were pushed up through this convergent plate boundary and pushed up onto the surface to be exposed through weather and erosion and have outcroppings. Then we had the rifting, which was the continent splitting apart, and the initiation of the Wilson cycle, the oceans being formed, the primitive Atlantic Ocean being formed. And then we had this half graben and this downdropping east of this area, causing the rift basin. So we come to this other fork in the trail. These pile of rocks kind of symbolize a change in direction and changing trail. Now to the right is the Blue Trail going back down the mountain, back down to the parking lot, and then going to the left you can go to Tripod Rock and Bear Rock as well, two big glacial erratics. Now I mentioned glacial erratics. This whole area, this northern New Jersey area, was under a very large glacier, or in English, glacier, which is a frozen river coming off an ice cap. And during the last ice age, which is the West Continent Ice Age, which lasted a few thousand years and kind of was the max around 20,000 years ago, it deposited and dumped down these massive rocks called erratics. Now this one, as you can see right here, is called Tripod Rock. Now it's a very famous glacial erratic that's been plucked and through abrasion taken off the ground by the glacier, picked up, moved slowly in the glacier in suspension in the ice, moved through threes 4, and they suggest it's been moved between 20 miles from where it was first its origin, its place of where the rock was formed, and moved to its current location here on the top of this mountain in New Jersey. And it is really cool because it's perched, balanced on these 3 smaller rocks, and you can see that these small rocks were put down first by the glacier, and then this big large one on top was then just basically plunked and deposited on top, and it just seemed to balance this way rather than fall down. So there's other glacial erratics in this park, but they're not balanced on these 3 rocks, which makes it so special because of a formation. You don't normally see this. Now the top one is 180 tons of gneiss, metamorphic rock. It's around 200,000 pounds, and it really is a cool thing to see because you don't expect it. You kind of walk through the forest, and this kind of like small opening, this clearing, you see this lovely rock just balanced right there, and there's other erratics in the area, around the area, but without the balancing 3 rocks below it, which is kind of awesome. Now, the glaciers retreated around, well, since 20,000 years ago to the last part about 11,000 years ago, and the terminal moraines and the glacial tills extend from New Brunswick all the way through New Jersey. You can see striations, you can see drumlins, you can see various glacial features that characterize this time in Earth's history. So once you have taken your fill of tripod rock and you experience the awe of this beautiful formation of rocks, you make your way back up the trail. This is the extension of the trail from the Blue Trail up this steep incline, and watch your feet because there's a lot of outcroppings and rocks and boulders, and some are loose and some are buried. And then back along the more relaxed open trail back to the pile of rocks, which shows you where the Blue Trail begins again, and you're going to turn left, and we went down to continue on the Blue Trail down the mountain back towards the parking lot. And on the way back from Tripod Rock, you can go to what's called Lucy's Outlook or Lucy's Overlook and see a different section of the valley, overlooking towards the north part of the state towards New York. And it's a cool lookout. I didn't go too far to actually go and see it, but you can go further. Now, along the hike, you can see all these different examples of fantastic glacial markings and striations on the rocks and various forms of weathering, physical, mechanical weathering, of exfoliation, and you've got these beautiful cracks and joints, and how the natural environment takes its toll on these exposed rocks, even though they're very resistant and strong. You can see some pioneer species and algae and lichens on the rock, and these beautiful, large, massive slabs of rock formations as you're on the hike. So on the Blue Trail, heading back down towards the parking lot, again, it's about a 2-mile loop, took about 2 hours for us to do this. There's a section going down the mountain, which is take it very slow, it's very rigorous, and you have to really take care of your footing because there's a ledge and there's a steeper drop, and you've got all these large rock formations and possible bear caves, these holes in the rock formations where I'm sure bears would hibernate. We do have a lot of black bears in northern New Jersey. Not too many, but there's enough that you be careful when you're on the hikes and stuff. Make sure you hike with a person next to you or group rather than by yourself, and basically make sure you hike at the right times and you have adequate safety and food and nutrition equipment as well. So going through the hike, you see this is all these different various rock formations I'm looking at all the way through. There's no stopping or no gap in rock formations you can look at, and geology and soil and different various biogeological formations that are on this hike. And making your way down the hill onto this pathway, going back towards the parking lot, again looking around, seeing different features in the forest, looking out for animals, and obviously watching my feet in case I don't trip. So on the way back down on the Blue Trail towards the parking lot to complete our loop, get some various stages of the hike which are treacherous for your feet, so make sure that you're careful going down the different pathway. And then we have these sections where you have these smaller trails branching off the main ones of the Blue Trail. These smaller trails branching off, which is awesome to explore and see other parts of the park. And again, coming down now back towards the bridge that we crossed over at the start, which would end the loop of the Blue Trail, and on our way back to the parking lot to finish the hike. And again, this is a fantastic place to see some glacial erratics, look at the history of New Jersey in terms of the tectonics and the geology, the rocks, the layers, and to look at the beautiful setting of this forested area that is only a short way away from New York City, and some cool views as well on a clear day. This is the Earth Science Classroom. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Check out more videos on our channel and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you again.